My biggest question this morning, after watching the condensed game over and over and over, is with Luke Getsy. Today I've been thinking about the game plan. Why in the NFL would you not attack a defense vertically? Why have three starting receivers that run sub 4.4 40s if you aren't going to stretch the field? The game plan was to get the ball outside and let the playmakers make plays. The problem was our blocking was awful, and our two best blockers outside of the offensive line were nowhere to be seen. Equanimous St. Brown was inactive, and Mercedes Lewis barely saw the field. If our game plan was to just throw screens, how did we not design a screen pass for DJ Moore? On top of that, it is criminal that DJ Moore only had 2 targets in this game. Think about back to 2019 when we lost opening week to the Packers with Matt Nagy and Mitch Trubisky. Allen Robinson got 13 targets that game. DJ Moore got 2 yesterday. That is simply unacceptable. Justin said it himself in the press conference last night. When asked why we didn't take more shots downfield, he said that was the game plan. He wasn't throwing Luke Getsy under the bus. He was simply speaking facts. That is what the coaches wanted them to do this week, and to me that is unacceptable. We don't have to just take Justin Fields' word for it though. Let's dig into the stats. Looking at the pass chart, it's clear that was the game plan. Fields only attempted 4 passes over 10 yards and only 2 over 20 yards the entire game. Getsy had an entire offseason to game plan for this Packers team and decided it was best to not throw vertically at all. This was kind of mind-blowing to me. Fields was 2 for 2 on passes over 20 yards, including the touchdown pass to Mooney. What this says to me is that Luke Getsy does not trust this offensive line to pass block. The Packers do have a really good defensive line, and Getsy might have been correct thinking we couldn't pass block them straight up, but there are ways around that. If our offensive line needs help, where was Mercedes Lewis and Roschon Johnson? Rojo didn't get enough snaps, and Lewis barely saw any. But, I mean, look at this offensive line. 4 out of the 5 guys are facing the quarterback. This is simply unacceptable. Luke Getsy was awful yesterday, period. We were outcoached, plain and simple. Our future is still very bright, though. I know yesterday was awful, but just look at the roster on paper and the amount of flexibility we have going forward with both draft picks and cap space. A lot of teams got off to horrible starts yesterday. Joe Burrow threw for only 82 yards. Deshaun Watson 153, Lamar Jackson 169. Bryce Young and CJ Stroud both struggled in losses. The Chiefs lost to the Lions. What about Brian Dable and the New York Giants, who Bears fans were wishing for after yesterday's loss? Yeah, they lost 40-0 to their division rivals. 40-0. The offensive genius who has a $160 quarterback, a good offensive line, and Saquon Barkley couldn't score a single point at home against the Cowboys. None of those teams that lost or struggled yesterday have 2 first-round picks next year. None of those teams have as much cap space as we do next year, and none of those teams have a roster as young as ours. The future is still very bright in Chicago. I still think Ryan Poles is doing things the right way. However, after yesterday, I think questions about this coaching staff are fair. Ryan Poles brings in the talent, but it's the coaching staff's job to get these guys ready to play, and yesterday they simply failed to do that. I'm not going to panic, and I actually expect this team to bounce back in a big way next week, but after taking that loss and digesting it overnight, it's clear that the coaching staff gets an F for yesterday. Not just Matt Eberflus, but Luke Getsy and Alan Williams as well. The Packers outcoached us and beat us at home. This should light a fire underneath this team. If this loss doesn't wake guys up, then they might need to go. The Packers punched us in the mouth, and now it's the Bears' turn to come out swinging next week. There's no excuses left for this coaching staff. Just get it done. Thanks to everyone who watched. I have some tape breakdowns on the way. Please hit that like button for me, and until next time, bear down.
Do right, Jay. Hey. Hey, good work today, baby. Let's keep going. Here we go. Bears on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bears.